as we all expect, Stephanie White is going to make a return next season. I know some of us might not like that answer because the reality is the regular season Stephanie White, where she had Caitlin Clark in the lineup, it was a big mess. It was very inconsistent. I know Caitlin Clark was dealing with an injury, but it felt like Stephanie White was holding her back because she didn't allow her to be free out there, make mistakes, because when you're playing with a lot of pace, you're going to have some turnovers. And you had Caitlin Clark in the corner at times. She didn't have the ball enough where she could initiate the offense because when she had the ball, the Fever's offense was humming. When she didn't have the opportunity to run plays and get people in rhythm, that's when the Fever were at their worst. So I understand you want to emphasize defense. You want to play like you had Connecticut Sun players. However, you don't have the same roster. Look, you got someone like Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham. You got Tipson, who has a lot of potential. You also have Turner, who looked good defensively. But at the same time, you have to look at your personnel. Kelsey Mitchell is a scoring first guard. Caitlin Clark is a scoring first or playmaker and a scoring guard. Their strengths are not on defense. Not said they can't hold up on that end, but you got to maximize what's on your roster. So when you look at the Fever, they do a great job when they're in transition. They're hard to deal with when you're playing with a lot of pace and you're making it hard on the defense to get in rhythm and get set. You have the advantage. But when you go away from that, that's where things got ugly for the Fever. And they hovered around 500 all year long. They had this awesome playoff run. But remember, Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. So you could implement that system even more with slowing the game down, playing in the mud. But we saw instances where this offense still struggled. Why? Because you didn't have enough playmaking. Ari McDonald was out, obviously. Caitlin Clark, like I just said, wasn't playing. And we saw the limitations because Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims could only do so much on offense. They're scoring first guards. So the expectation of them raising their level for playmaking wasn't always going to happen on a consistent basis. But if you had Caitlin Clark out there and you gave her the keys where she could play more freedom and just allow her to run that offense and dictate pace, you would have saw a better Fever offense. There's no doubt about it. Aaliyah Boston showed some strength to playmaking. So if I'm Stephanie White next year, I'm either hiring an offensive assistant that can unlock things, or I'm getting out of the way and I'm allowing their offense to be unleashed. I'm not trying to limit things. I'm not trying to hold Caitlin Clark back. And let's just see how it all plays out, because I believe if the Fever are playing at their potential on offense, where Caitlin Clark is doing everything possible on offense, and she has all the freedom in the world to do whatever she wants, and she's able to score or assist on a lot of their plays, this team has a very good chance of winning the whole thing. There's no doubt about it, assuming we have a regular season, right? That's something we have to be aware of. But I would also consider this. If you're the GM of the Fever, you got to give Stephanie White a short leash. You can't forget how inconsistent this team was during the regular season. So if they come out, let's say 5-5, fire her, because it's not worth keeping somebody around because they made a amazing playoff run. You have to remember, Caitlin Clark is a generational player, and you can't have her be held back. Also, she'll get frustrated. Maybe someday she'll want to get out of Indiana. So you got to make sure you cater to your best player on this roster. Don't allow this shenanigans to go on a lot longer. I'm not saying Stephanie White can't coach, but the adjustments are questionable, and you can't allow her to keep going if you're getting the same results. I get like you had injuries, but your offense was not as good. And these fourth quarters have to get better. We saw instances where they had leads or they were in games and the fourth quarter offense was terrible. You can emphasize some of the defensive schemes out there, but don't forget about the offense. You got to score the basketball. So I just think it's important to understand the personnel you have. Now, the Indiana Fever have a lot of decisions to make this offseason where they have unrestricted free agents, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, Damaris Dantas, Sydney Colson, Brianna Turner, and Ari McDonald, and Odyssey Sims. This team's going to look a lot different next year. If I'm the Fever, the players that are at the top of the list, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Ari McDonald, and Brianna Turner. I'll let go of Dantas. I'll let go of Howard. I'll let go of Sydney Colson and Odyssey Sims. You can replace them. I'm keeping Kelsey Mitchell. I'm re-signing Sophie Cunningham. I'm giving Lexi Hall a new contract because she's a restricted free agent. And I'm keeping Brianna Turner because of her defense, and I'm re-signing Ari McDonald as a backup point guard. Now you got to figure out, okay, how can we add more versatility to this roster? Well, give Tipson a bigger role because you did draft her. So give her more playing time next year because she showed flashes where she can play defense, lock things down. And another player you should give some more playing time is Shea Petty. She showed some flashes and played pretty well in the playoffs. And then they still have their first and second round and third round picks for the 2026 draft. So the Fever got some options here, but they need to prioritize keeping, your core roster together. I don't think we should just dismiss the playoff experience that Mitchell, Lexi Hall, and Leah Boston gained from this run. But if you let one of those core players go, like a Kelsey Mitchell, that's going to hurt this roster. If Sophie Cunningham doesn't get re-signed, that's not good because Sophie Cunningham is part of keeping the mentality strong in Indiana. I like the way she goes out there with a lot of grit. She defends the players. You need that type of person on your roster. So you got to retain Sophie Cunningham. I think that's a big thing for Indiana this offseason. But yeah, when it comes to Stephanie White, you got to give her short leash. I don't think the GM of the Fever should play around here because the window is now for the Fever to go out and win the championship. We don't know what's going to happen with the New York Liberty. They might look completely different next year because of firing their head coach and bringing in a new system. And Stewie might leave and maybe Sabrina might leave. Their roster might look completely different. So you look at what's going on in the WNBA, you got to take full advantage of the situation. And you got to go out and draft players and develop. I think Tipson should get a bigger role. She has a lot of potential, has a lot of versatility. Brianna Turner was really good defensively. So you have players on this roster who can play defense, but emphasize offensive schemes. And if you can't scheme up anything good, Stephanie White, get somebody in there who can unlock Caitlin Clark's potential, who can get this offense humming consistently. That way we don't see situations where they're in the mud, they're unable to score because there's no type of adjustments being made because it's not Stephanie White's strength. So that's just something, if I'm the Indiana Fever, I'm not just brushing to the side and saying, well, she got us to the semifinals. No, look at the context, look at the regular season and recognize it wasn't that good. And yes, they had a good playoff run, but at the same time, that was without Caitlin Clark. And you got to make sure she has full control of the offense and Stephanie White's not getting in the way. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Stephanie White. How many games should the Fever allow her to coach next year if things are going south? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.